रोटी दे दूं और
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Okay.
We are seeing an amazing sense of togetherness and sharing. And the most important case point is really this sort of sessions that's been organized literally every day by Naredco. What a sense of sharing of knowledge among so many people that wasn't available, pre-corona. People are not willing to share. Today, the fact that, different experts are coming, talking, making knowledge, understanding, everything available is almost at the same level of feeding the poor, whatever is happening in the larger society that we are seeing. And I think that is something, while crises bring a lot of costs, physical, mental, economic costs, they also sort of bring out the best in people. And we are sort of hoping that in its own way, this crisis also helps us find the best amongst ourselves, and then look at the future in a different manner. So the topic of today's conversation, I'm sure, is really about putting the RE back into real estate. And the idea is to get, at the end of it, a sense of what are the imperatives that will drive the customer in the market today. And before I get on with the topic, I just want to sort of explain, how we are sort of looking at this discussion. So we are going to broadly focus on two parts. One is the part one, which is really about the macro situation. What's happening in the world? What's happening in India? How do we understand the crisis? How do we use the knowledge that we already have of crisis in the past to navigate? Everybody's saying this is uncharted territory. If we remember, long time back, people used to take their ships and go looking for uncharted places to go. They used to take uncharted routes. So what would they use? They'll use a compass, they'll use the constellations. So the first part is really the sort of navigation that you need to require to point you into the right direction, to be able to learn from whatever knowledge is there. And that is the large, how do you get pointed out into the right direction? The part two is really more specific to your real estate business. What are the mega trends that we think will emerge that will either enable or disable our business? What should we be doing to prepare our organizations right now? The moment the lockdown gets, it's a given fact that it is going to go further, but what is going to happen after that? How do we get back to business? What are the things that we need to be doing right now, tomorrow, day after? How do we plan for that? One question that is definitely driving everybody in this thing is that how do we attempt to restart this entire marketing and sales engine? And I'm sure for a lot of you, it's not just marketing and sales. How do you restart construction? How does migrant labor come back? We are not going to be touching that. We are more on the go-to market, the consumer side, but really understanding how do you get a magic formula to navigate through these uncertain times. So the second part is what I would call your GPS or your locality map. Once you've reached a place, how do you sort of plan for that? And what we would really want you to have at the end of the discussion is, what should you be doing right now? What should you be preparing for the period ahead in the immediate future, right? I think that is the essence of some of what we will talk as we go ahead. And for the part one on macro trends, I'll just invite Anurag Singhvi, who's arguably one of the finest minds in real estate strategy. Welcome, Anurag.
Thanks, Karthik. Thanks, Niranjan sir. Thanks, Rajan sir, for giving us this platform and all the esteemed members who are here. I just want to set up the global context because I think there's a lot of discussions around, and these are extraordinary times, as Karthik said, unprecedented. We have never been this like this ever before. But I think the closest crisis which we have seen in recent memory is the 2008-9 crisis, and everybody believed that the world will close down. If you read some textbooks, from some books which has come from Hank Paulson, etc., there were a few hours from closure, right? And that would have been a dominoes effect world over. So we were very close to a shutdown, and we came out of it like a V curve, right? This happened in September 2008. By May 2009, the recovery had started to happen. And the fundamental nature of the recovery was that the government intervened significantly. In US, they came with a program called TARP, where they put in money in financial institutions like Citibank, AIG. They guaranteed the largest mortgage lenders, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. They underwrote all their mortgages. They put money in General Motors. So their program was, they put around $500 billion. The second most interesting thing was how China came back, right? And China said that, so their financials, they came through basically real estate and infrastructure. So Chinese economy at that point in 2008 was around $4.5 trillion, not too far away from what we are around $3 trillion. And they chose a route of pump priming the real estate, right? And how did they do it? They just said that these are the two heroes, real estate and infrastructure. More real estate because real estate comprises around 20% of Chinese GDP. And they worked on the consumer side. So they said that the effective interest rate in China before the crisis were around 6.7%. They brought it down to 4%. And they also increased the LTV. So basically they worked on the consumer side effect, and that led to the recovery of the Chinese economy. They grew around again 10-11% and continued to grow for a long period of time. What are they doing now? Okay, and if you see all across, so everybody has understood this is one of the biggest recessions we are facing right now. It affects all segments of society, unlike the 2008 crisis, which happened only to say a few banks in US. And so everybody is pump priming. So US is talking about $2.2 trillion and increasing, that equivalent to India's economy. China is talking about $1 billion. Japan is $1 billion. So the amount of money which is going to flow in will be like 7-8% of the global GDP. And if you can see what Fed is doing today is actually it's going and distributing this money to all the SMEs. So they want to, the recession not to happen. They understand what is happening, and they are distributing money so that the world doesn't go in recession. Considering this, what is India doing today, right? So India has done a brief thing. They have done a $20 billion direct benefit transfer. RBI has introduced liquidity in the market. But I think we have to understand that India is at the weakest right now. All the balance sheets which an economy has, which is whether it's government, corporates, banks, all are very weak today. The only thing which is keep India floating is the consumer balance sheet. So the consumer sentiment is extremely critical for India to revive back. So whatever India takes efforts, right, or whatever interventions happens, the consumer has to be kept at the center of it. So that means that very few job losses, lesser salary cuts, etc. So that's one of the key focus areas that government should do about it. So whatever support the government does, right, would be fundamentally multi-layered, multi-pronged across sectors. So they have to come with areas like what they did to Yes Bank. They have to do to many such organizations. They have to support the airline industry. They have to support the railway. So government's task is not about actually looking at one sector, but all the sectors because they're also interlinked. So I think we'll need a very, very smart strategy from government to actually look at it. As I said, China came back on the basis of real estate. So what they should do about real estate is simple, right? That if all projects are stalled, right, or because of lack of liquidity or consumer flows not happening, the most hit balance sheet would be that of a consumer, apart from the developer sector. And that would further lead to a vicious cycle. So what can government do is that to revive the sector, they need to do interventions like what they've done with the SBI sponsored fund. They had put 25,000 crores. They might increase it so that all the projects which are on gets completed. They can introduce interest subsidy, which they've done for affordable housing to across all the projects. They can be tax breaks. But I think the most important thing is that the consumer sentiment should not get dampened because of the crisis which we are facing, right? So as I see today that, the COVID, we don't know when the COVID is going to end, whether it's be early May. And so whatever government interventions would be, right, would be dependent upon when it ends. But there have been various papers floating around. We have already given around $70 billion of liquidity, but there's been a document by SOCHM. So we need another $150 billion more to get the sentiment back, to be stable and survive over a period of time. And I think there's no other possibility which we see that the government will not do that. I think they don't have a choice. Our sector has not been the most favorite on getting SOPs from the government, but I think this is a time and this is a period where they need to do something and understand where we are coming from. So these are all macro views, macro thoughts, very important that government intervenes, etc. But what we can do, is in our control. So we don't control markets, we don't control COVID, we don't control what government will do, although we can influence that. But what we can do internally is what I think the whole subject and topic of today is. So which is basically resetting the button, look internally, what we can do in this period, what we can think, understand what is consumer thinking, and what we can do on the organization, brand, etc. So I give it back to Karthik to talk about this. How should we face the organization, the COVID internally, considering that macro variables are not in our hands and they keep changing, right? So what we were a month back is very different from what we are today. So the numbers, the variables, etc., the forecasting, etc., is extremely difficult in these times. But internally, what we can do it today. So Karthik, reset the button. All yours.
Thank you very much, Anurag, for such a clear sense of the macro situation and how we can sort of learn from whatever has happened in the past, the collective wisdom that exists among governments to take us through this crisis. I'm going to weave that with what we believe we should be doing at our end on the immediate future. Before I start, just to reinforce what Anurag said, I think it's very important we all understand the concept of locus of control. हमारा control किस चीज पे है, किस चीज पे नहीं है. And I think having a very strong understanding of that is important to believe the people who have a larger locus of control will impact the government. Rajanji, Hiranandani ji are engaged with them. I'm sure they'll be pushing the government to take the right calls, and I think that belief is there. What we need to do is really look internally and see how during crisis times, how do we prepare? What are the things that are impactful for us? And take a very clear view around that. Before I start, I think it's very important to understand that the human mind is a very, very funny thing. It's almost akin to being on a sine wave, which goes up and down like this. So in good times, we sit on the top of the curve, and we feel that life can never go down, right? And it always feels very good, and then you believe that all things, including irrational expectations, are really the way world will move. But contrary to that, when you sit in a trough, you have uncertainty, lack of clarity. Again, your mind tells you that nothing good can happen, and all that we can really plan for, or all that we can see, is a doomsday. And in a way, that is what is going to be happening in a lot of our minds. How do I get over with this? So in a way, I have feeling that in this crisis, real estate is going to be the best prepared, because we have been in crisis for a longer time than most other people. We have a sense of what crises mean. We have an understanding of what we need to be doing. I think a lot of stuff has been worked upon for some time. We are also more stressed, so that makes us a bit more exposed. But the reality is this: the effect of this is going to be across all sectors, and and we need to understand how we will sort of take it forward. One important guidance that we sort of keep to ourselves at this point of time, Anurag has been talking to a lot of bankers within India, outside India, private equity, people running other businesses. So it's very important at a business level. One of the mistakes that I've often seen, in fact, seen it throughout the 13 years that I've been in real estate, is our obsession with people in real estate. We talk only to people in real estate. We take our feedback only from them. We look at the consumer only from the point of that. And I think this is a great time. We've got infinite amount of time available with us to pick up the phone and talk across industries, understand what other people are doing, how are other industries looking. Very fascinating. I was having a conversation yesterday. A company that manufactures, a small company, around about 300 crores of turnover, and they manufacture bags, carry bags and stuff. And they have pivoted themselves to making masks. They've used the last 1.5 months to pivot, and their first quarter numbers that they're expecting is 100 crore out of sales of masks and special protective equipment. So while I'm sure we're not going to be doing drastically different from the core of our business, our business takes a lot more. But I would just say that we should be open in our mind to be able to absorb whatever is happening. And that, I think, is a very critical part of our strategy. In fact, since the time I've been in real estate, I have actively recruited people from outside of real estate, principally for this reason, that we open our mind, we don't get caught into the here and now of the situation. We need to get a broader outlook. The pandemic is going to change a lot of things. And all of us are going to come out changed in many ways. And there are going to be a lot of mega trends that will define the way our business will move forward. And I think one of the things, before I go on to the specifics of what we will be doing at a company level, I think it's important to sort of spend a couple of minutes on understanding what sort of mega trends. I'm just going to be giving you some. I'm sure if you sat with your wisdom, I'm sure you'll be able to think of many other things that will be happening. But I'll just give you why I'm talking about this mega trend. One event, I mean, which I think as a crisis, if you were to look, was actually the 9/11 bombing that happened in the United States. I don't know how many of you know that the number of people who died in the 9/11 bombing were less than 3,000, and that is including the terrorists, right? And it has changed the way we fly. The amount of cost that it has added to the overall security scenario, the way we approach flying has changed interminably across the world. And it was a much smaller event if you really look at it, right? This is a larger event. So it is going to change. It is going to make fundamental changes to some of it. And I have feeling that many of these changes may actually enable our business rather than disable it. Yes, there will be disablers. I think it is important to look at those also. But I'll just try and talk about some of these, which I think are important. I think the first large reason we have been fed over the last, ever since, I think at least for 10 odd years now, consistently, everybody has been talking about the superiority of financial assets over hard assets, right? Everybody said SIP karo, stocks mein invest karo. That's almost, real estate, bad investment, don't do it, illiquid. I have feeling at the end of this, when people will come out of it, sanity prevails. There is going to be a clear move towards knowing that financial asset as the only class to put your money in is not a smart way of looking at it. And definitely there is going to be a movement towards hard assets. People are going to be looking at real estate very differently. And there is a consumer side angle to it also. I think it is important to understand that at this point of lockdown, the people who are currently living in their own homes are sleeping better than people who are living in rented homes. And I'm sort of going out on a limb saying this. And it is not because you don't have EMIs to pay or, they have a rent to pay. But the fact is that if you are staying in a place, then you are more socially entrenched into that locality. You know more about it. You spend more time. You're more equipped to handle a crisis. And I think that is going to change the way people are going to say, no, I'm okay about co-living, I'm okay about renting, I'm okay about not having a home of my own. No, I think roots have become as important as anything else. uh, Anurag has already spoken about lower interest rates, how that impacts. I think that is one very large push that can considerably push our business. I would not talk of that as a mega trend, but definitely as an enabler in the immediate future. I think one interesting thought that we have been toying out and of interest to us is that the concept of holidays will change. Suddenly, it's not about traveling to places. People will say, I have heard, and this is real talk that I'm sharing. There are people from my building, whoever has had a house either in Alibag, Pavna, have already left, and they are sitting there waiting for this crisis to unfold in the city. There are people who are, who said, if I had a house, I would not be sitting in a large development, I would be better off there. So there is a way in which people are going to be looking at this concept of, so these are, I would say, part of a mega trend which is outside of us but is going to impact us. And I think people will look at alternate homes, second homes in a very different way going forward, and maybe the concept of first home also. uh, Interestingly, retail is going to be very badly hurt, especially the fashion sector, and that will have implications on malls, on real estate. It will have a very different sort of on local malls, on local area shopping. Suddenly kirana stores have become more important. Close to market is becoming more important, and also the role of technology is also becoming very important. There's a growing realization that travel to work may not be the most sensible part of it, and I think interesting models may work out of it. Too early to say, but does this mean that I will only travel to my office 4 days in a week and the rest I will handle as meetings? We were jokingly saying that our next channel partner meet is definitely not going to be happening in a hotel room. Possibly will be over a Zoom call, with the ability to engage with the channel in a very different manner. Are these going to be trends which have an impact on our sector? The answer is yes. So I think it is important for each one of us, with different kinds of businesses, to look at these trends and try and answer out how we think in the mid to long run our business is going to be opening out, and also what are we going to be doing about it. So I'll just come to the core of our discussion. So in the 13 years of marketing and sales and real estate, one thing has become clearer day after day after day. Delivering consistent sales performance is the lifeblood of the organization. Everybody is sort of turning to it in different ways. People look at sales, which is the output. We look at the input part of it, which is really the brand, the organization, the marketing, the understanding of consumer. So the planned way to have a sense around what we want to do business is becoming more and more and more important. And I would urge each one of our developers and developer partners to think about it carefully at this point of time. We've got a lot of time to think about it. So the access to a marketing and sales engine is a critical part of how you need to plan, because a large part of it is strategy, a large part of it is then about the quality of execution, and then of course the quality of people. So before I talk about the specific areas on which we need to work to prepare on restarting your sales and marketing engine, I just want to encapsulate one fundamental philosophy that I want each one of us to hold very, very clear in our minds, and that is bias for action. If we don't have a bias for action, and if we believe I will wait for everything to clear out before I take my first step, we have lost already, right? Wait and watch is not a strategy. So we have to have situation planning. We have to plan for it. We have to keep active. There is no way. I'll just give you a very example. The Japan Olympics have got postponed. Do we imagine that the athletes are going to wait out this period, or they are going to be using this period for more training? Are they going to use this period to train to be more successful whenever it happens, or would they? And I think that is the way we need to be looking at life. So anticipate, prepare, and move at the right time. So I'm going to give you a very simple 5-point model to look at your organization, your business, at this point of time. Um, 5 points. And I'll first start off with the first point, which is customer. The most important point of all. We've all been guilty. This is the least customer centric business or sector in the world. And I think it's very important now to sort of look. So even before you start thinking about every new customer that you want to attract after this lockdown is over, I would say every customer saved now for you is a customer earned. So the first thing that you need to put as a philosophy is zero customer loss policy in your company, and make yourself as the CEO responsible for it, because that cannot happen. Whatever happens, you're not going to lose a single customer going forward. It is easier said than done, but it will require a phenomenal amount of planning. So what you need to be doing is get out your customer list, put them into risk buckets basis already known information, be clear about what sort of strategy you will have. Just to say that, okay, I'll give an EMI holiday to everybody is not going to sort out. Just allowing people to cancel is not going to work out. So having a very cogent strategy to hold every single customer at this point of time is worth 5 times getting a new customer. And I think that is a very important part of how you will do your planning with your CRM teams. The second part of the consumer thing is to be very clear about what we want to plan. And one of the things that I would say is that plan every interaction with your consumer. Have a plan, ensure that we use this time to talk to consumers, get your customer care teams to talk, but it should be a planned communication. It's not just picking up the phone and communicating worry, but it is about the positives that we have spoken about, why we believe real estate is good, why they took the right call at the right point in time, why we are with them at this point of time going forward. And I think that is an important part of bringing back focus. One of the worries that will be going on in everybody's mind is that, are people going to pay? Are customers going to continue to pay? They will stop their payments. Just as a data point, we were talking to somebody in HDFC to look at the number of people who have taken moratoriums on their existing loans. Right at this point of time, and Anurag, I think you can correct me if I'm right or wrong, it is at a maximum of 16%. Right, of all the loans that have been taken, only 16%. The rest are paying as per schedule. Right, at a consumer side, will it increase? What will happen? We'll have to wait and see. But that is the nature of the beast. People are saying, it is not sensible for people not to pay. So please take that as a feedback and then work on it. The second, this is on the consumer side, please spend more time on that. The second part, which I think is very important, is your organization. Almost as important as your customer piece. Very high level of engagement is very important from your management team to your larger team. And I think that is where now the quality of management will speak. If you have a high quality of management, the chances are that you will emerge stronger out of this crisis. If the quality of management is weak, then we will have a very significantly different outcome of this. What we are doing at our end is that we are very using this time doing things for which we didn't have time to do before. So we are sort of having very interesting conversations. There is a large innovation agenda that our CEO is driving. So everybody is being told that when we will meet again, whether it is physically or online, everybody has got at least 5 innovative ideas for their line of business, things that they have not had the time to think through. And we are sort of micro focusing on some of the key areas that that have been points of weakness. For instance, direct sales for us is an important part. Channel management on a large part is an important part. Conversion rates, all those things, and past campaigns, all those are important. And at the same time, we are spending a lot of time planning for our future campaigns. And I believe that this is a time where our creativity is actually at our highest. We are able to give time, and some of these projects will come out with such beautiful thoughts that makes us feel that we are going to be preparing in the right direction for it once we are out for it. Digital is going to be a very important part. So please, on the organization side, please focus on that. I think I may be overrunning on my time. So if I'm doing that, please let me know. The third one very quickly is the product. I think it is important to know that we have lost time to delivery of our product, and we will lose more time. In your existing projects, I would urge, especially the people who are on the development side and on the marketing side, to sit with a tooth comb and with the marketing team, with the architecture team, with the engineering team, and identify opportunities for value engineering. Literally go feature by feature to say what is time critical and what is not. Yes, there is a RERA, but I think we need to plan beyond that at this point of time, so that we are able to reduce delays from every point of time. Get the priority for delivery very, very clear. At the same time, I think it's very important for the newer projects to start thinking what may become more important. Gate management systems, security management systems, automated, personal gym, offices in homes suddenly become more important. Lack of access to clubhouse suddenly becomes more real than what was thought before. Common drops for retailers at store, ability to sort of bring it back into the home. A variety of things will become de rigueur from a product perspective, and I think there's a good time to sort of think how we can add. The early movers will get better advantage of that. The fourth part, which we think is very, very critical, is brand marketing, go to market, communication. I think this is almost the most important part that we want you to focus on. Marketing will move largely in a different manner. To believe that suddenly everything is going to be digital, people will do only communication across phones, it seems to be an unlikely. All the means were already there. We are going to see different ways of formats of interaction happening, multi-layered of interactions which will happen. Yet our conventional way of engaging with consumer will become even more important, because the need to sit across and talk the consumer and take him to a point of delivery of sales will become even more important. So I think the sales will become more digitally enabled rather than just digital. I think a lot of branding will move digital. Uh, Newspapers will become a bit less important, especially in the physical format. They'll become more important in the digital format. And I think communication needs to take cognizance of that. Also, the type of advertising itself will change. It'll become more rational. People will want to know how you are doing it as much as about what you are going to do. And I think the sort of important question that is at the back of minds is that how do I prepare for going back into the market? Do I plan big? Do I plan small? Do I plan large launches? The simple formula on this is this: immediately as soon as you're out, you should be looking at whatever your plan was. Have a very smart 1/4 plan, which means 1/4 of delivery, 4 times the effort. I think that is the way we should be looking at it, right? For the 2 months immediately after we get out of lockdown. And yet at the same time, start preparing beforehand itself for the large launches, because the ones who are going to be the faster on the block are going to take the best out of this. We had seen this in the previous crisis at 2008. The ones who are more prepared to take movement pragmatically were the ones who gained the most. And I think from developers, I think there'll be a lot of channel partner friends on the channel. I think for you, it's important for you to look at your business very clearly. This is a great time for you to talk to each one of your clients, your prospects. They have a lot of time. They will listen to you. Do not sell right now, but tell them, provide them thoughts around real estate, what we spoke today, why we believe they make the right choices. If you've got customers who bought recently, provide them with comfort and understanding. And I think that is going to be a very important part of the role of the channel going forward. So please use this time. People have got a lot of time to listen and a lot of time for concepts to be told to them. And I think the last part, I've seen a lot of questions coming, which is the golden question of real estate. What is going to be happening on pricing? Is price going to drop? Is there going to be a mega drop? What is going to happen? Will it drop? How much will it drop? In our minds, we are also trying to answer, हम तो drop नहीं कर सकते हैं. all sort of questions. And the answer to that, I think, is very simple. Please, for last 3 years, prices have actually been dropping, right? In its own way, it's been inversely correlated to completion of projects. The more the project gets completed, largely, some people in this group excluded, people have seen a drop in price. And I think there is a reason for that, which is completely outside. So I don't think as a group we should be looking at this thing. The question that I would urge each one of you to ask to get some sense around it is that even if I were to drop prices, let's suppose I am a very courageous kamikaze warrior, I will drop prices by 30%, 20%. Will I get volumes? Will I be profitable? If the answer is no, then that is not a question. That's not a solution. Please do not waste your time thinking about it. If the prices are dropping at a global level, you will get to know. There is no secret around it. But what I would say is that do your planning. Do your planning around price scenarios that allows us to take conscious, clear calls both on existing customers and customers going forward. But do not waste your time worrying about price drops. And because at an individual level, it is definitely not a solution. And I think our belief for ourselves and for our clients is always been very simple. If you believe that there is a price advantage that you want to give to your customer, give it straight to the customer. India is the only country that operates on an MRP principle. And I think that is the best suited for our mentality, because that's the only way people are willing to buy. If you believe that anything can be negotiated, it'll be negotiated and not bought. Right? So the best thing is to operate on a MRP basis. You want to pass on anything to a customer, stand on your rooftop and tell everybody, I'm passing it to every customer, not because somebody's asking more, somebody's asking less. Right? That's the best way to handle it. And I think it's a very important part of a philosophy that we need to go forward. I'm sure there are many more questions. We are happy to answer. I think we have Niranjan sir there. We have Rajanji there who will be happy to answer many questions that you will have. We are there to answer. But before I sign off, I just want to tell you that one thing that I want each one of us to keep in mind. Normally during crisis, the response to people is like that of a deer caught in headlights. And you know what happens? You just stand there, you're watching at the headlights. And the only thing, a sensible thing to do at that time is to move, right? Just move. To stay at one place is bad strategy when you're caught in the headlights, right? And thank you very much for taking our time listening to me patiently. Thank you.
We will be taking some live questions also after Niranjan sir's view.
Nee, Anurag, you want to speak anything?
No, sir. I think.
Sir, Niranjan sir, over to you.
I wish you had given this speech 30 years ago, because I would have used that to be a better builder and a better marketing person that I've done. So I've learned a lot in this half an hour, 40 minutes of your exercises, all that. What you said was extremely important, that we haven't been consumer centric. And I think that is the real secret of the entire conversation that he made. We don't take into consideration their requirements, their commitments to them in terms of understanding what the market is, what is their capacity to buy, etc., making products suitable, change the product according to the times and situations which he talked about. I think all that was very well put up in terms of how the rollout is required to be done to attend to that issue that the consumer is king. And I think he made it extremely clear. Number two, he made very clear that don't waste your time. Don't waste your time when you have time to say that you're not being prepared for the situation which comes after that time. Of course, the question is also whether you'll survive this time. That's another question. But having said that you do survive this time, I think we hope that the rollout should be well prepared for rather than anything else. So I think lots of things to take home in terms of the ideas that you have given. Thank you very much, Karthik, Anurag, and your whole team who are here. It's really nice to learn this thing this morning. And the fact that we have so many people over here is all thanks to Rajan's leadership, which has happened in Naredco, which has taken this platform to the next level. I think it's very good, Viresh and the team members who have actually set it up. Really, it's wonderful that you're doing it on a day-to-day basis in a continuous way. And not only passing our time, but actually to learn from the time. Otherwise, we could have gone to Netflix. But this is something which is useful. I said, I think Rajan follows it to the T. What you said, that you prepare for this time when you're not there. Probably Rajan must have learned from you earlier. So he's already doing what you have said, and obviously much more successful in that sense of the term. So I think it's an interesting facet of marketing, which I guess we have not focused on in terms of it. We were grossly overconfident in our fields and stuff like that. We were more concerned with FSI. Now the secret is that there is too much FSI available, but there is not enough rest of the skills and capital available or credit available now. So probably with the additional and excess FSI available to everybody and every project, we may have to focus on other things besides getting more FSI. So I think it's a good learning for this morning. Thank you very much for being over here. I think there are some questions being asked, or if it's still there. But I have to sign off personally, so I will beg to be excused from it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sir, only one thing to Sir Niranjan sir. We all are learning from you. You are our leader.
Yes, sir.
So we know
Sure.
whom to follow. And these all people are here. Basically, even though they are there to listen to Karthik and Anurag, but they know that Niranjan sir is there. So you might have seen there are so many questions for you also there. So
I will not answer the questions. We will do another session with me. So if there are questions, then I will listen to the answers from Karthik. Let's see. Are we getting some more time?
Yeah, we have time, sir.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
have time. We are up to 1:30, 1:45.
I will rather listen to Karthik. You hear me every day, so I prefer Karthik to answer.
So sir, one of their teammate Pritam is also on the on the.
Can we start
panel.
taking questions?
Yes, please.
Pritam is there. Viresh, Pritam is there. Pritam can also talk for 1 or 2 minutes.
So Pritam, if you have a
also
question with Niranjan sir, you can start, please.
Sure. So 3 things I'll add to not taking too much time. A lot has been spoken and very specific. The one thing I'll start off with is action. And we've always believed in action simply because we've always been faced with the question of why action now, be it anyone across the board in our industry. So 4 years back, everyone was saying, oh, difficult times, let's wait for a good time to come, and demonetization happened. Then they said, oh, it cannot be worse than this now. Let's wait for better times. And then the twin impact of, I think, GST and RERA happened to our industry. Both positives, but it was kind of a shock treatment for all of us. Then again, we were told that, oh, it can't get worse than this. Let's wait for better times. V-shaped recovery, U-shaped recovery. आप लोग देखिए, सब कुछ अच्छा हो जाएगा, and suddenly the IL&FS crisis and the entire NBFC sector running our taps dry happened to us. We were just about coming out of this and looking at good times. Incidentally, Jan, Feb, March were so great for us and our clients as a group that we are sitting on over 1,000 bookings which we have to register and get disbursed. So it was looking positive, and everyone said, oh, now the V-shaped recovery, I can now see I'm climbing the mountain. And suddenly this happens, unexpected. No one could have predicted the scale and severity of what has happened. Which brings me to the point, to the suddenness with which this has happened. And this comes from human behavior again, where the first state, as Karthik pointed out, that dear caught in headlamps, is denial. And that is one word we are very scared of as a team. What I mean by denial is it took WHO till, I think, 14th of January to declare this as an incident of kind of pandemic or then epidemic proportions, that it can spread from human to human. we shouldn't be in that state of denial and be acting all this while, even in our industry. That's the first point I'll make. And to help this out, simply, Rajanji, you'd asked me offline as to how should our frontline teams be looking at life. And this goes out operationally to my frontline teams across. Trust me, what I was just doing when everyone was speaking is writing down the headlines. Naredko has been kind. We get e-paper every morning forwarded at 7 a.m. So I've still tried to be with my habit of holding newsprint in my hand. I'm sure that habit will go away to InShots very soon. But coming back, the headline today in Times of India says 229 cases and Maharashtra breaks record. At 3.8 cases per million, we are still low. The commendable story of that poor Indore doctor who set an example. ET headline today says RBI says inflation will be 2.4% this quarter. Tatas have gone on to give a guidance saying go slow on capex. Same headlines yesterday, I'll not take too much time, were 82 deaths in Maharashtra. We can't step out without a mask. PM cites national emergency likely to extend the lockdown. Economic Times yesterday said lockdown may have to extend. PM says to opposition. High Court to banks, keep status quo on asset classification. Do any of us remember the headline on 10th of January this year? The headline on 10th of January was nothing. The front page carried a Honda ST 125 full page ad on Times of India. The next page was Skoda Kodiaq Scout launch ad. The news, then the headline, and Niranjan sir, you'll like to hear this. 2 new metros, 3 road projects to ease your commute in 2020. None of those projects are not going to see light of day, my friends. I am just telling you this. In 1.5 to 2 months, the headlines have changed, and the headlines will remain like this for some time to come. But in October of 2019, go flashback 4 months, the headlines were Big Billion Day sale. And on 4th of October, Flipkart was happy to announce that Bharat is coming towards India. They had 50% growth in number of new customers buying during Big Billion Day sale. All of this, my friends, has happened in a span of less than 6 months. So what I'm trying to say to my frontline teams here is simple. Just see your life for the next 2 months differently and the months thereafter differently. We all know that in the years to come, this comes as a blessing in a way for our sector to be looked at differently, be it in a portfolio investment safety bet sort of manner, or a stock which is at its 104-week low, and hence the only way is now up for a blue chip company also. So that is where we are looking in the long run, definitely positive, cautiously optimistic in the next 2-3 months. But our actions for the next 2-3 months, trust me, these headlines will change 15 days from lockdown. And that is where the context to our actions will change, and we all will be taking different calls, probably and hopefully more positively. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say before we take on to questions, Viresh.
Niranjan sir, you want to say something?
No, let's get the questions off.
Viresh.
Mr. Deepak Sudhar. Deepak Sudhar.
Why don't you take the question answers which are already there on the screen? Karthik can go.
Karthik
Yeah, that can
and
be done.
Anurag. Karthik and Anurag, you can take question answers
You have
on the
questions
screen.
on the screen.
Please select questions, Karthik and Anurag. Niranjanji, I'll just start with one, which is, I'm so sorry, but this one is for you. It says, can real estate be given an industry status which will help raising funds at affordable rates? This is off topic, but if we kill this now, we'll move on to sales and marketing then. Very
Yeah,
pertinent.
so we already have an industry status for our affordable housing segment. So it's already there.
True.
Now we are asking not for industry status, but infrastructure status. So our borrowing can be 1:9. So we already have industry status for infrastructure projects, which has already been given 4 years ago. So industry status is an old one. And all the borrowing and other things will be done on industry status as of today. But infrastructure is entitled to much more credit than is there. So we have now changed the pattern, and those industry status you already have.
All right. Thank you so much. So, Karthik, this one is from Mr. Rajesh Kunder.
Questions which are already available to you. If you have on the top of your screen, if you just tap it, you have questions which are there, which show question answers. So you can take up those question answers if they are available with you. It says Q&A.
Yeah, the Q&A tab at the bottom. Q&A tab at the bottom. The first question from Rajesh G is, what will be the effect on residential sale this financial year due to uncertainty in the markets? And the second part is, will consumers adapt to the e-selling model on the residential segment? Over to you, Anurag and Karthik. Anurag, you're on mute. If you can unmute, and then, sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Can you hear me? Yeah. So very quickly, I think definitely a good question, a difficult question to answer. But I think some insight you can have from what is coming out of China at this point of time. Immediately after the lift up, I think in today's Economic Times, or if I'm not mistaken, there is this article which is talking about a very significant growth compared. Of course, they were seeing a downward trend for some time, but I think technically they are only around about 20% lower than same time last year. So I think it is very difficult to answer on an immediate basis. We have to believe that there will be a drop in sales, but the question is, instead of trying to answer that out at a very global level as to how many total units are sold, the best way, and we keep coming back, is to really localize it to your business. Can you in this time take a larger share of market? Can you in this time try and sell more than the other person? Can you become more customer centric? Can you focus more on your marketing, your consumer? I think that's a better way to answer it out than to try and answer it out on a global level, because the global level answers, they will play out in their own way. And if I tell you no, it will be great, you will not believe it. If I tell you that it will be too bad, you will feel very bad about it. So either which way, it doesn't help. I think the answer at this time is to really try and ask out, what will I do to ensure that my sale continues to be better? What actions do I need to take? I'll work on it very pragmatically.
Karthik, I'll add to this. I think why I discussed the stimulus part in a big way is that what it does is it brings in so much liquidity at a particular period of time that the turnarounds are far quicker. Okay, it's difficult to comment as of today because the variables keeps changing and are changing every day. But when the stimulus happened, 2009-10 was actually one of the best years for real estate in India, and we were coming out of a global financial crisis. So I think a lot of times it was one of the few periods when the prices increased and the sales volumes increased. So how the stimulus will happen, difficult to forecast, but what it will do is it will greatly stabilize the consumer sentiment and the markets. So whether it happens next quarter looks difficult, but from the second half of the year, things will like to stabilize and grow. So I'm optimistic because if you see last week, this week, was one of the best periods for stock markets in US after 1973, where the stock market went up 14%. So the stimulus, etc., the government interventions really help to stabilize markets.
Thanks, Anurag. Next, I think there is a question on how sole selling mandate companies will sustain during this time of crisis. I think we'll sort of not answer this out because that deals with very few businesses. You know, and I don't think it's relevant. Uh, the way to look at it is that developer sales volume are critical for growth of this industry, and like Anurag said, once the stimulus kicks in, we should see definitively larger. I think what is more important for all developers to understand at this point of time, and I think it's important every time when you get poor marks in your exam, we used to go back and say, "अगली बारी से मैं अच्छी तरह पढ़ाई करूंगा." इस बारी तो खराब हो गया है. So I think it is important to understand, we may commit to whatever, but it is critical to believe that we have life-changing habit changes in ourselves going forward, which means that we commit to a more organized way of looking at our entire sales marketing strategy engine going forward. There are some questions on job security, salary cuts, loss of jobs, liquidity, real issues, real problems. But like I said, these are points out of our locus of control at this point of time. We will have to believe that there will be deferment of salaries. We have to believe that salary cuts are real. And we must also believe that eventually it will reassert itself back once the economic activity comes back.
Karthik, there's another one which is a more part answered, but I'll direct it to Anurag. This is from Vineet Joshi. Anurag, a very difficult one. It's crystal ball gazing, but try and take a dab at it. What's your stance on whether this is a steepest low for the real estate sector, or can we also observe a further low in this sector after the lockdown?
Yeah, I think as you mentioned in your speech, right, that we always believe this is the low and we come back, right? I don't think we can go lower than this. There can be a periods when the prices etc. drops, the volumes drop, but it would come back. It has to come back. I don't think we can be producing below cost. So there can be a periods of time when we could be below cost just to be in the business, but over a period of time it will come back. It will bounce back. So there will be periods. As I said, again, it's very difficult to guess how much the prices will drop, etc. Whether it will be 5%, 15%. It's difficult to comment at this stage. But it would be for periods of time, but it will get re-rated.
Yeah. Just to add to what you have both mentioned, the stimulus package, which has a long-lasting effect. Sure. And you mentioned 2008. If I'm not wrong, it was close to $150 billion that Bush had signed off then. Yeah. And this time, the economic package was 2.3 trillion announced.
Yes.
Just by US, followed by 1 trillion, if I'm not wrong, by Japan. Yeah. All this money over a period of time, and trust me on this, all of you, we saw action from US. Again, they weren't, blindsiding this. They acted upon it immediately. Within the first 10 days of the announcement of the stimulus package, they were disbursing close to 30 billion US to SME businesses on those loans. Out of, I think, the 300 billion to 400 billion planned for SMEs. So that money is coming in today, and it will have a snowballing effect, of course, not immediately next week or next month.
So I think, Preetham, what it does is that, look, we have a large IT presence, right? With this kind of capital, the IT companies gets insulated, right? A lot of this money will go into supply chains across the world and to stabilize them. But I don't think a lot of this money is going to come to India, except for capital markets. I don't think a lot of real estate funds are going to come to India because money is cheap in US. They would be finding buying opportunities in US itself. Okay. So we have to depend, our sector has to depend upon the capital which is available in India, right? And that would mean that suddenly public sector banks becomes very important because a lot of this capital would be coming out of public sector banks. So SBI certainly becomes a very critical part or wheel of transmission of this money to the real estate sector.
Correct.
Pritam,
This
Pritam,
one
Ashok,
for you
Pritam,
mostly.
Pritam,
How are
Ashok Manani is also there on the line, as well as our Vice President Prem Kumar is there, Anil Suri is there. Ashok Manani, if you would like to ask or throw some light on
Please.
this subject of
No,
sales.
I just want to know from Anurag
Yes,
and
sir.
Karthik, what are the one thing that you would want to tell the developers? You've told many things, of course. I mean, I've taken the points with great value. But what are the one thing that we need to do in this emergency? Because I understand that emergency will be ultimately converted into an urgency situation.
Yeah.
We always react to things. Okay, so what should we do so that we are able to handle ourselves in the future also? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
A very difficult question to bring it down to one answer, sir. So the way I would look at it is, sir, what I was also saying is what I would call pragmatic preparedness. We have to be pragmatic. The idea is not to start thinking about, in fact, there is an interesting mention about people buying land in China right now, because suddenly that's becoming, available all of a sudden.
Great deal.
I don't think we are going to be in that position, but definitely from an organization perspective, I would say that all parts of the organization should not vegetate. They should be creatively thinking. They should be preparing, using this time valuable. And one thing is very clear: nobody's going to be working 8 hours, but can we at least get 2-3 hours of productive time every day? If we can do that, stay prepared, then we will be better equipped to get out of this whenever the situation opens out.
So Karthik, I'll just answer one more thing on this. I think everybody should not stop construction. So restructure your loans, do whatever, but the construction should not get stalled. I think that's the one single most thing, because if that gets stalled, the consumer flows will not come and you'll get into a vicious cycle. So you need to work with the banks to get the money flow going, whatever it needs to do, but the construction should not get stalled.
Anurag, yes, we will not stop the construction, but you and Karthik both together start getting funding us also. So you fund us, then we'll give ready the product and give it to you to sell. So it is like that.
करना पड़ेगा
तो
सर.
बोलता है ना फिनिश प्रोडक्ट के पहले रॉ मटेरियल के लिए आप पैसे दे देना. अच्छा प्रेम कुमार is there. If Prem would like to ask something, Prem Kumar, unmute your video. Prem, yes. Prem, we can't hear you.
So I think he's gone out of the call.
No, Prem Kumar is there. I don't know. We
Yeah.
can't hear him. Yeah, Viresh, you can take
Viresh,
questions
just
then.
try and get him back.
Viresh,
Yeah.
Viresh,
So-
Just one I would like to take, Viresh, sorry,
Huh.
just one,
he will take-
Naveen
he will
Duteja
take
has
live
asked,
question.
and
After this, he will take a live
Karthik,
questions.
I would request an answer. As a real estate
I've seen the
consultant
question. I think it's
with
a
a
very
team
good
of
question.
5-6,
Yes.
yeah.
Naveen, that's a very good question. I think what we will do from our end
So
is
we'll have
that,
to speak the question also for everyone. Sorry, everyone might
Sure.
not be on the
Yeah.
screen.
Sure. Please go ahead.
No, please, you can.
No, but tell the question so that I can, people. know
The
what-
question is, as a real estate consultant with the team of 5 to 6 members, how do you think we should be utilizing this lockdown period? Also, what kind of training to be conducted for the team members, and if you refer to some reference material, blah, blah, blah.
So I think it's a very good question, and it's a clear case of bias for action. What we will do from our end is that thanks for Nareko showing this way of using telepresence to create so much value, and we will sort of work with our team to put together a smart way of how smaller channel partners can plan and use this period. Actually put together a series of talks from our teams, both on database management, specific stuff that you should be doing at this point of time, and we'll be happy to sort of work on that on a very quick basis. yeah, Preetham, we should take this up with Vikas and then get back to the larger channel community.
Yeah.
Pritam, now let
Immediately, we'll do
Viresh
that.
take. Pritam, now let
Sure.
Viresh take live questions. There are people who are waiting for live questions.
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Viresh, Viresh.
So there are around 17 to 18 hand raised. So what I'll do, I'll just unraise all the hands. So all the attendees, they can start raising their hand again, so that we can see whoever is on the line and ask the questions.
I'm requesting that I want to leave because I have another meeting scheduled in 5 minutes. So I'm
Sure, sir.
there for that. So thank you very much.
Sir, Niranjan sir, thank you very much. I know
Thanks,
you are
sir.
giving too much time for the industry. We are all obliged and thank you. Grateful to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you, sir.
you, sir.
Really,
Thank you, sir.
really.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
sir.
so much.
Thank
Bye.
you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks.
So yeah, Mr. Ajit Shah,
Yeah.
please go ahead.
Sir, what will be the impact of corporate leasing of retail spaces and office spaces?
Anurag?
Yeah. So I think
In the scenario of work from home?
so. I think there are two trends to this. One is the existing people who are working and the future growth, right?
Yeah.
And typically, so we have one experience or two experiences when disruptions like this happen. Office demand goes for a toss because people are uncertain about the future, so they don't plan out on the office space and employment, right? So effectively, all office leasing future gets postponed. So we would be having pretty weak demand next 1 year. It looks likely that we'll not have great demand on that. This as one of the trends which is going to happen is, as Karthik mentioned, that people start to work 3 days out of work, 3 days out of week or 4 days out of week. So there would be a 10-15% shrinkage, or we can assume that, in offices space consumption of existing usage. Okay. Now, whatever my experience was of 2008-9, when I used to look at the commercial part of it, the rentals can steeply fall. Okay. In these kind of crisis, especially for under construction kind of projects, right? So we saw in 2009, Low Parel was quoting 300 rupees, went down to 100, 110 after 6 months. So there can be steep falls across the board. Malls is a habit forming thing, right? Where people will be very scared to go to malls. Malls typically have a very discretionary kind of purchase. So this will get postponed. So there would be an impact on the rentals, but I see it to be less problematic over a period of time as compared to office, because the malls numbers are fewer, right? So in Bombay, you'll have only 10 or 12 large malls, right? So the supply of malls is limited. And once the sentiment improves and we're more confident about going out, malls will going to come back. Office space will take a longer time.
Next, Sagar. Sagar, you can introduce in one line for yourself, and then you can tell your question is to Karthik or to Mr. Anurag.
Hi, so my name is Sagar Salunke. So my question to so according to the ministry's report of December 2019, the real estate sector would contribute to 13% to GDP by 2025. So in the next 5 years, it would contribute to 13%. That's what they have estimated. So after this corona impact, would it still hold true? And if not, then how much we could progress, or how much you think in next 5 years the real estate sector would progress?
So I think at 2025, the government is also projecting a $5 trillion economy, right? So 5 trillion into 30%, 25, 30%, you're talking about a very large number. So you're talking about close to $650 billion, right? So I don't see that kind of thing happening because you're assuming that we'll be doubling in or tripling in next 3-4 years. So I think what we are assuming in growth rates, and it has been pretty flat, 5 to 10% growth every year for next 4 to 5 years. And that's we are talking about pre-COVID. After COVID, things change. So we might be having one difficult year. I hope it bounces back. But if I see a 5-year trend, we see a growth of around 10%. So the contribution of housing to GDP will grow from 8 to say 9.5, 9 to 9.5.
Mr. Jay Bed.
Hello. Yeah. Hi, Karthik sir. Hi, everyone. So I have a very typical question, which as a sales leader, anyone would have. Work from home culture, what we're talking about. The productivity of every person is going really down, and whatever we are trying to chase, ultimately it is affecting our PNL in short term and in obviously a long term as well. So is there a module change that you suggest that the entire way of selling, maybe something like a virtual reality, or so the entire change in module of basics of sales will happen because physically the client is not there. एक नया paradigm आएगा sales में?
I think Naya paradigm are in various ways. Whether this sort of forces it even more is something to be seen. But definitely, I think there is going to be an overlay of technology to help without necessarily forgetting about the human part of the overall sales process. And that's true not just for real estate, it's true for any high involvement, high value product. But it is definitely going to mean, like I said, a lot more transactions, lot more interactions will actually happen aided through technology. And then to answer that, yes, we have to be smartly prepared for it and enable it.
Mithil Mangani.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mithil. I'm working with Adiraj Constructions, which is in Navi Mumbai. I would like to ask a question from Karthik sir. So there is a sensing in the market that there would be a higher demand of ready apartments as well as the resale apartments as compared to the under constructions ones. So how this can be made sure that the demand of under construction can also be maintained as along with the ready ones?
So I don't think there is anything happening in the current situation that says that why one will be preferred over the other. Conceptually, there are very different need requirements that drive the ready versus the structuring of financing itself, people buying for the future, which is why far more number of units of under construction properties get sold, because in a way you're selling forward. I don't think that will change. The companies that have got a better track record and are able to demonstrate better what Anurag was saying about not stopping construction activity. I think that is the most critical part of it. If we are able to demonstrate that, I think we'll see equal amount of interest in both, because the customer dynamics of both are significantly different. Hello.
Mr. Sudarshan Lodha.
Hello. Hi. I'm basically taking care of commercial leasing and investment in commercial offices. I would like to understand from Mr. Karthik, what do you see a trend where commercial offices will go on a back foot in terms of investments, or do you see quality A grade offices will come in good demand?
I think two things. I think one is the immediate impact of whatever is happening, because what is going to happen is that people are going to demand rent freeze. People are going to demand certain cutback in rent as one of the first things to happen. So I think that is definitely going to be a trend that we will see on an immediate basis. There'll be slightly longer trends which will also change the nature of how commercial real estate will get consumed. That is something that we will have to see how it gets played out. Having said that, any asset class which is productive in nature and is a part of the overall economy of any country should see decent traction going forward. So very difficult to just say that whether there will be a long-term drop in value of commercial real estate. My answer is that it will not be as bad as one would think. There may be some small dips that we will see in the immediate short run.
I'll just add to this, Sudarshan. I think the dip in interest rates, will also push people to actually buy commercial estate. So the rentals might change, but the yields also will compress. So effectively, the pricing should remain the same.
Ashok Mishra.
Good afternoon, respected panelists. I'm Ashok Mishra working with Mahindra Lifespace. My question to panelists here would be particularly to Mr. Karthik. Is like, are we moving towards or are we already in a black swan moment for real estate? Because already we are struggling with poor rollout of GST demonetization and the RERA compliances. Now this coronavirus has come at the black swan moment. So are we already in a black swan moment? Or are we heading towards are we heading towards the creative destruction that will result into more customer-centric innovations also in the future?
So yes, I think we are definitely in a black swan moment, not just in real estate, but across all our lives. The question is that what sort of learnings that we will take out of it in a larger scheme of things. Having said that, yes, I think a paradigm of a lot of businesses will necessarily change. For instance, education is already undergoing its own changes. Real estate also will learn from its own, from whatever is happening. And you may be correct in saying that the best thing about black swan events is that the reality of that you will be able to see only 5 years, 10 years from now, but it could be, yes.
Naveen Duseja.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Naveen Duseja. I'm from Kalyan Vishwatma Properties. Again, I would like to carry on from one of the points that Karthik sir made, which is in regards to zero customer loss. Sir, taking on from that point, I think it becomes imperative that we manage our DBMS effectively as we go on immediately after the lockdown period, whether it is BDNB or any other data. What do you think are the most important steps that we need to keep in mind while whether we are in the lockdown period or immediately after the lockdown period that we should be focusing upon to ensure that zero customer loss is maintained, or at least as much closer as possible?
So the most important thing to understand there, Naveen, is that a one-size-fits-all solution will not work, even for your own customers. So what you have to do is be very smart and try and bucket your customers into different risk brackets, right? And then plan out different solutions for different customers. The idea is not to be completely open and say, I will do anything that is required to retain, and yet know and understand, who are the paying customers, who have a history of paying, what sort of jobs are there, are they foreseeing a job loss, is it more long-term in nature? So having a sharper understanding of your consumer by talking to them at this point of time without necessarily getting into the specific of it, which basically means that getting your database into place in a smart way, and then evaluating that is an essential part of the strategy, right? And it has to be done customer by customer and then aggregated to a bucket level.
Dennis Michael, please.
Hello. Yeah. Good afternoon, Karthik sir.
Yeah. Hi, Dennis.
Yeah. My question is very simple, actually. Okay. So due to this COVID-19, okay, more or less each and every industry has been impacted indirectly or directly, right? So once we come out of this lockdown period, so which industry do you think which would have, which would create a meaning where we can do some kind of a marketing activity?
So help me understand. What exactly are you looking out for?
Which industry should we plan out to do some kind of a marketing activity? Should it be IT sector, or because almost like 60 to 70% IT people are working from home?
Yeah.
So is it a better idea to do some marketing activity for the IT sector people or for banking?
Something that people are definitely interested in going forward. The people that you will not be able to market for some time is real estate. So are we done for the day?
Yeah. Girish, can you check with Rajanji quickly?
No, one second. Girish, I don't know. Girish must have this thing. So there are questions also there. And most important thing, Anurag, Pritam, as well as Karthik, people were thinking कि आप कुछ जादू की छड़ी दोगे. तो आप जादू की छड़ी तो दी नहीं लोगों को.
So yeah, sorry, my phone was on mute. Ankit Maharishi.
Yeah.
Sorry, service means
Hi, sir. Good afternoon.
I was just filling the gap, nothing else.
I have a question, please.
Ji, sir. Good afternoon. So a lot many pre-launches and launches were planned. Some of them were ongoing before the COVID-19 hit and before the lockdown happened.
Sure.
So as everything reopens, as everything is back on track, should a developer be optimistic and resume with the planned things that were going to do a little pre-work and resume on what was planned, or
sorry, complete. Yeah, sorry.
Or there should be a wait and watch situation, or there should be a wait and watch situation, and if there should be a wait, how long should a developer wait before it launches? Because obviously जब तक client से interaction नहीं होगा, जब तक एक पता नहीं चलेगा कि client कैसे respond कर रहे हैं, we'll not be able to really suffice the requirement right now.
So one of the ways that I've spoken about is that be prepared. Yeah, I think one of the things that you need to look at is that be pragmatic about it. Plan at 1/4 whatever sales volume that you were looking at during whatever work that you are doing for the first 2 months. But be in action. Do not hold back on your activities. Do not hold back on what needs to be done. Be pragmatic about your spends. Ensure that we are able to take a lot of. So some of the things that will definitely help is that media will be at its lowest at that point of time, right? So if you can smartly spend your money, that will become important. A lot of marketing activity will not require substantial sums to be spent, especially on your existing databases. So what can you do around that? So plan around that. My sense is that the big launches you should plan around about 2 months from the point of lockdown getting over, in a very pragmatic way, which basically means that 1 month away from the day lockdown goes is where you actually hit the market in a big way. So till that time, for the next 2 months, you would plan for smaller activations, more focused work, getting all your sites back into action. I think those are important things.
We have our Vice President from South,
Sure.
Mr. Prem Kumar. So
Yes,
Mr. Prem Kumar, you heard for all these two young gentlemen. What is your view, or you want to? Whatever is your take?
Yes, sir. So a lot of interesting things were said, like, zero customer loss policy, and then you talked about high level of engagement and not to stop construction activity. But somehow, what is that one magical thing that will bring the customer back into the market? Because the sentiment seems to be so bad. So what is it? Is it something that developers can do from a marketing angle, or should the government come in aggressively because real estate, or we talk about so much of GDP employment and all that. So what is that one magical thing that has to be done to improve the sentiment in general? Because I think that's the main issue. That's the main problem.
So one of the things that Anurag was really talking about is something that is outside of our locus of control. We are hoping that the government will do. I think one of the very clear understanding, if you were to look at numbers, from a job perspective, which is the social angle to the entire thing, manufacturing and construction and real estate stand equal to each other and are next only to agriculture in terms of overall employment in this country. So I think there is going to be a large understanding that in order to keep the social fabric together and to keep the sector moving, the government will take whatever action that it needs to take. And I think we need to have that belief going forward. I think the only thing that I believe that we need to do, that one singular thing, is to actually ready ourselves and have belief ourselves. if we don't have belief at this point of time, we don't believe that we are going to be out there trying to make our approaches to the market. If our approach is going to be that I will wait till somebody else makes the first move to reach into the market, then as an industry, I think we would have lost it. So rather than wait for somebody else to give you the faith, I think that faith has to be generated internally. We have to see what are the actions that I can pragmatically take to push my sales, talk to my customers, fix out my point of view, and eventually the customer responds to that. The reality is this, that if you were to look at all the speak that has anyway happened over the last whatever 5, 10, 15 years, it has been real estate negative only. So there is going to be no, that, and in spite of that, people have sold, people have moved their businesses forward. So I think the maximum service that we can do to ourselves is to add to the faith that we have on our sector. If we believe that this is an important part of the portfolio of a consumer, if we believe that more and more new customers should be buying their new homes, first time buyers should come back into the market, and there are enabling circumstances that happen around us, the eventual act will happen. If we are not there, whatever the government does, there will be no payback if we don't believe and we are ready for taking action at our end. So the magic formula, sir, is very simple. Rajan sir was also saying, वो जादू की छड़ी अपने हाथ में है, sir. It's up to us to use it and go about it with belief. If we are not able to do it, if we only sentiments start from inside of us, so we will start from there.
Yes, sir. Viresh, any questions?
Yeah, we will end up at 2 o'clock. So, sir,
Viresh,
two or three more questions.
Viresh,
Mr. Mukesh Yole, yeah.
What about Pune market, affordable housing and commercial?
Karthik Anurag, he is our vice president from Pune.
Yes.
He is asking, he wants to know when he should start his sale. He has projects to launch, तो इसलिए वो पूछ रहा है आपसे कि वो जो मैंने बताया ना जादू की छड़ी, ऐसे जादू की जड़ बूटी मांग रहे हैं आपसे कि कब लॉन्च करें.
जब तक संजीवनी बूटी नहीं चाहिए तब तक ठीक है सर.
तो मतलब just to elaborate his question, he is telling you how do you look at residential affordable market as well as commercial market, especially in Pune, because Pune was doing very well. Like after Bangalore, I think Pune was one of the best market.
Yes, sir.
And now unfortunately after Mumbai, Pune is the worst hit after Corona.
True, sir.
So just if you can throw some light on that.
Sir, I just answered this, right? Because it's a more a macro question rather than a micro, and we are not in Pune, so we are answering on slightly from a higher 36,000 feet. But fundamentally, Pune, the biggest employment is IT, right? And so that's why the global markets becomes very, very critical and how they function, etc. Right? Whatever, as I said again, I was going to repeat that if the US market is able to stabilize, it will lead to a stabilization of all the people who service the global markets. And if that happens, then Pune market will be one of the first to revive. Pune and Bangalore, which are totally dependent upon the global markets. So my view is that once a stabilization happens, the Pune market is going to come back. Affordable housing always does well. There's always a demand. Once the stability happens, then the affordable housing market as well as the mid-income market both should sell.
Viresh, we'll take one last
Anup
question.
Karnani and Maulik Dave, 2 last questions. So
Okay.
Anup Karnani ji. Hello, Anup Karnani.
Shift to Maulik.
Maulik Dave.
Hi, Karthik. Hi, Anurag.
Hi.
And thanks for your amazing insights into the marketing world of real estate and how we should be planning our projects in future and near future and in long-term future. And also thanks for strengthening our belief in the law of karma, that you keep doing your karma and don't worry about the fruit because that is anyway not in your hands. I would like you to ask one question, Anurag and Karthik. See,
Yes,
we have been talking about marketing in general for real estate, but in real estate, we have a lot of other sectors, specifically redevelopment, commercial, retail, and residential. So the more focus of your marketing strategy what I felt was was highlighting on the real residential sector.
Exactly.
Can you throw some insights on the redevelopment sector in Mumbai, specific to Mumbai, please? And how what should be done, and anyways, redevelopment is suffering a lot. So some insights on that, on the strategy part, please.
So I think redevelopment is actually again market driven, right? And markets not being bad, so redevelopment projects will get stalled, right? So right now, whichever projects are on, which are brownfield, would be the focus of every developer, every financier. Okay, so so without capital, no redevelopment project will take off. So if I'm a financier, I would be typically be looking at my existing portfolio and where the support is required in terms of capital, in terms of maybe helping and in other parts. So restructuring, etc. So I don't see any capital flowing to redevelopment assets. Okay, and the consumer sentiment is one macro part, but the capital part will be not flowing into the redevelopment projects.
Karthik,
Sorry.
Your point, Karthik, your viewpoint.
So pretty much the same as what Anurag is saying.
But in terms of sales, see, this is on the funding side. In terms of sales and the existing project which have already taken off, and there are some large developments and redevelopment too, which are coming up in Mumbai.
Sure.
Like in Mahada and other SRA. So what should be their strategy?
So I don't think the strategy fundamentally redevelopment is more the acquisition of land part of it. On the consumer side, the mechanism of thinking and delivering remains pretty much the same. So whatever you would do for all your other projects, you need to work on it. I think the need for more belief that eventually delivery will happen. Redevelopment has had a patchy record. So more focus on the brand, more focus on providing clarity of how construction is happening, keeping your customers informed, ensuring that your local area from where most of the redevelopment demand gets generated is aware of how the project moves ahead. So there may be more local, more specific work that you will have to do, and defining the boundaries around that will make it intense, but obviously relatively less expensive than what you would do with larger developments that are not redevelopment.
Okay, thank you so much.
So the last question of the day, Anup Karnani, is there on the line.
Sure.
Anup, I got your message, but we are not able to hear you. Hello.
Achha, Anish, I would request Anish to give thanks to both the gentlemen and close this session. Anisha is our secretary for NAREDCO Maharashtra.
Hello.
Anish, over to you. Anish, unmute your mute. Mic. Anish, mic open kar. Anish.
Hello.
Anish, તારું mic બંધ છે.
નથી થતું. Okay. Hello.
Chalo, guys, I think.
Karthik sir.
Yes.
Karthik, Anurag ji, hi.
Hi.
Thank you very much for the session.
Thanks,
I
Anish.
enjoyed the sessions and good throw the lights to developers. Very good session. आपने छड़ी तो दे दी है. अभी उसमें मैजिक डाल दो खाली अभी.
We are there to help anytime. Thank you so much.
राजन भाई ने बोला छड़ी तो सबको डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दी है आपने. मैजिक डाल दो थोड़ा सा.
Happy to do that. Thank you so much, Rajan ji.
Thank you, Rajan.
Thank you all panelists.
Thank you very much, Rajan
Thank
ji.
you, guys. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Manish.
Thank you, Rajan ji. Thank you, NAREDCO, and everyone. Please stay safe. See you on the other side of the lockdown very soon.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Pritam. Thank you, Anurag.
Thanks,
Thank you, Karthik.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
And thanks to all participants for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Stay safe, stay blessed.